talking about Muhoozi Kainerugaba, Museveni's son, do you think he's got a mental problem? I mean, you've talked about back in the past when we had the likes of Idi Amin, they would deny. But the gentleman gloats in the abduction, torturing, and then takes pictures and posts them. Isn't that a mental problem? Something is fundamentally evil, wrong, grotesque with this man. I'm sorry, I'm not a psychiatrist, a psychologist to diagnose him. What's your conclusion about this man?
Mordecai, do you believe in God?
Yep, I do.
Do you believe in prayer?
Yes.
God works in different ways. I've said it in the past that for all the pain that Museveni has caused to the people of Uganda, history has dealt him a blow through his son.
Shortly after the controversial 2026 elections, opposition leader Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, better known as Bobi Wine, disappeared from public view. For more than a month, no one knew when he would physically resurface, apart from a few social media videos that he shared on his social media accounts. Bobi Wine was forced into hiding after threats to his life, including the order of Uganda's Chief of Defense Forces, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, wanting him captured dead or alive. He eventually left Uganda and has since been based in the United States, where he is continuing the fight against the Museveni criminal regime. I tracked him down in Massachusetts for one of the most revealing interviews yet. Away from the cameras and the political rallies, Bobi Wine opened up about the questions many Ugandans have been asking. Will he really return to Uganda, knowing the dangers he says awaits him? Why would he risk everything? Has he lost faith in the Ugandan people after 2 fiercely contested elections? Would he ever sit across the table from Museveni to negotiate a power-sharing deal? And looking back, does he believe his own capture made mistakes that helped keep Museveni in power?
If elections continue to be disputed, to be violent as we've seen, and institutions remain under the influence of the executive, under Museveni and his son and their minions and lackeys and stooges, what is the most realistic constitutional political change we can use in Uganda?
Mordecai,
what is the single biggest mistake you believe your campaign made, and that you would do differently if another election were to be held under similar conditions? And of course, I am still in Boston, the capital of Massachusetts. Well, we're going to be having a separate conversation in Uganda with the president of the National Unity Platform, Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, famously known as Bobi Wine. You're going to have to wait for that. But before you do, and I know you're going to enjoy this one, please consider becoming part of the Mordecai Murisa Live family. How do you do this? Is by subscription, which is 100% free. Like this video and let us know what you think in the comments section. This is what's going to help us grow Uganda's Voices of Struggle ecosystem. So as you enjoy this one, I hope you join us. All right, yes indeed, Mordecai Murisa here once again. Like I promised you, I've been making this promise that I'll be talking to the man himself, the president of the National Unity Platform, Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, famously known as Bobi Wine. Thank you so much for speaking to Mordecai Murisa.
Thank you very much for having me, Mordecai.
I don't even know where to begin. I mean, only to say thank you so much for your service. I always say that. You say, hey, we shouldn't give you the flowers because, you know, you try to say no, but I'll continue doing it. Thank you so much for, I was here watching, I was in the USA watching the campaigns, what went down. Sometimes I couldn't believe that, you know, we're being treated, not even animals, not even slaves, by our own people.
Yeah, thank you very much for the appreciation, Mordecai. But how about I say, we share the flowers. Don't give me the flowers, let's share them. Because all of us, all of you comrades are playing a huge role in the awakening and fight against dictatorship back home. So each one of us maybe deserves an applause.
Yeah. Well, let's start right away. Now you're in the US shortly after the election.
Yes.
Many people believe that political leaders should never abandon the struggle. There's a lot of criticism directed or headed to your direction. People saying you abandoned the struggle, you ran away, you are a coward. You have had people say this. Did you abandon the struggle? Why did you run away?
Interesting. We must know that naysayers will always have something to say. Even when you survive, they'll say, you're a coward, why didn't you become a martyr? You know?
Yeah.
So it is not what the naysayers say that matters, but what we believe in. I'm alive today because I was able to outsmart the Ugandan military, beat Museveni and his son at their own game, and I left Uganda intact. Otherwise, I would be dead. As you are aware that the military, police, and all security agencies were looking for me. They failed. I proved to them that their intelligence is not as intelligent, and I made it out. But leaving Uganda or running to save my life is not abandoning the struggle. Maybe those people have not read history, but all the great revolutionaries I know have always taken that, what we call a tactical withdrawal. Mandela lived in exile in Ethiopia, Nyerere lived in exile, Bote lived in exile, Ben Bella lived in exile, Oliver Tambo lived in exile, Museveni himself ran and lived in exile in Sweden, you know. So we are taught mainly by Milton Obote that sometimes it's good to die a little in order to live longer. You know, I run from danger. That's why I am able to fight from a different front until I go back home to the main front.
Yeah, let's go back to what you said. You were able to outsmart the intelligence of Museveni. Some people have argued that you are actually helped by the Museveni. Now, there's a contradiction here. They say Museveni was looking for you, and at the same time, Museveni actually provided your escape. What do you have to say about that?
Well, must I respond to all ignorance? I don't think I should. But again, to some extent, they're right, because yes, I was helped, but some people within the system, not everybody in security is agreeable to the way our country is being run. Some soldiers, high-ranking, middle and low-ranking soldiers, are in disagreement with that. Some police officers don't agree with that. Some government officials are only too frightened to speak, but they don't agree with what's going on in our country. So in any way they can help those that are fighting for a better country, they help silently. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the election. You've consistently argued, and I've heard the same from Dr. Chiza Besigye, that Uganda would never have a free and fair election under Museveni, because he's in control of our institutions, he's in control of everything. But over and over again, citizens are asking them, questions. Why are you going back to this election? 2032 or something is on the way. And again, we're going to have politicians campaigning saying, hey, let's go again. Why do we go on and participate in this thing that we have come to conclude that, nothing's going to come out of that?
Well, Mordecai, in the same way we've said, you can never get justice. You can never get real justice under the Museveni regime. That they take us to courts and we send our lawyers to represent us. They arrest our people and present them to court, and we go there to fight for them. We refuse to just fold our arms and sit back. We use the system, however bent and skilled it is. Sometimes to get justice, but other times to expose it. For example, I've said it time and again that I didn't go into this election expecting Byabakama to announce me winner, even when I win with 95%. You saw him. He came out and said, don't go to the polling stations. You don't stay at the polling stations after voting. You'll get trouble.
You'll be crushed.
You'll be crushed. And now, on the LC1 elections, he's saying, after voting, don't leave. You get my point.
Yeah.
So you don't expect a free and fair election under the Abakam. We as NUP and as a generation, we went into this election to achieve one of the two. Either our victory, which was very unlikely, or to expose the regime, at least to strip it of the pseudo legitimacy. As we speak right now, what Museveni is struggling with is illegitimacy. That's why his son was looking for me to eliminate me. That's why they are paying lobbyists everywhere to try and paint a rosy picture and clean up the mess. And yes, that is why I am being received with dignity in all the places I go to, because even if I was not declared winner, it is known not only locally in Uganda, but internationally, that indeed I am the legitimately elected president of the Republic of Uganda. Yeah.
So you are in the United States as we speak. How would you describe your current status? Are you in exile? Are you on temporary political leave? Are you simply working from abroad? What are you doing here?
Well, since these are just English words, I'll play with the English words.
Okay.
I'm in exile, but I'm not an exilee.
Oh. Okay, that's playing with the semantics here.
You see, I refuse to accept the plight of being in exile or a refugee, even if technically that's what I am. I've told my people that I'm on a mission, I'm on a move, and the final destination is going to be Kampala, Uganda.
In the foreseeable future, soon or?
I'll say sooner than later.
Sooner than later.
Yeah, I'm not relaxed here. I am doing what I need to do. It's another front now, as you are aware that with time Uganda became unlivable. Museveni's unhinged son is not pretending anymore, you know, and that in one way or another is helping us justify all the claims that have been made before us in our tenure and everywhere that indeed Uganda is a mess. So this and many other justifications we are presenting to the world stage, well knowing that Uganda largely depends on the rest of the world. Yeah.
The leader of opposition, Joel Senyonyi, said that when you fight corruption, corruption fights back.
Yeah.
I would say the same on dictatorship.
Absolutely.
Regarding, you know, what we see in Uganda, and you saying that you will be there sooner than later, they're still now emboldened. They're actually getting emboldened.
Yeah.
When are you going to go back? Because the situation is not going to change. Are you waiting for things to change completely?
No, Mordecai. On the contrary, the situation is going to change. We've been taught before that it gets worse
Before it gets better.
before it gets better. Naturally, it is darkest before dawn. It is going to get better. And I want everybody to know that it's going to get better. We've been here before, you know. The Amin dictatorship was at its most ferocious moment when it was about to break and get dismantled. So it's going to get better if we don't give up, if we don't stop fighting for what is rightly ours,
You know,
as the people of Uganda.
What that tells me is you're waiting to go back when things get better.
I'm sorry?
You're waiting to go back when things get better?
No, I'm going to go back and make things better with our people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some analysts have argued that, you know, the transition of Uganda can only come in one way. And this is going to be a peaceful negotiation with Museveni, because they've said you do not believe in violence. Many of our comrades have said, how about we use the other ways? And you're super against these strategies of using violence. So they're saying, how about you sit with Museveni on the same table? You might actually end up serving in his government as a prime minister, vice president or something, and you can affect things.
I'll tell you that, first and foremost, yes, it's true, we don't believe in violence. We believe in non-violence, because violence has not produced Democrats. Save for only the case of Ghana, the late J.J. Rawlings, but violence has not produced Democrats. It only produces entitled tyrants. So we don't believe in violence. We believe in dialogue, but not the Museveni kind of dialogue. You've seen it time and again that the Museveni kind of dialogue is the co-optive dialogue. It's a transactional dialogue. The how much do you want dialogue. The what can I give you dialogue. We don't believe in that. We believe in transformational and not transactional dialogue. That's why we have refused to go into any secret dialogue with Museveni. It has to be clear, and we've made it very clear, at least as far as I'm concerned. The only conversation that I can be engaged in with Museveni is a public one, and that is aimed at a transition, not a co-optive dialogue. I mean, this is a man that has been in power for 40 years and counting. This is a man that has never honored any agreement. When you read back in history, he's a person that took part in negotiations in Kenya in late 1985. But just a few months later, he went against his own word. So Museveni is not the kind of person whose word is to be taken. Yeah.
Your message when you are campaigning encouraged Ugandans to vote, protect their vote, and reclaim it.
Yes.
Looking back, a few months after those days of campaigns, do you think that message raised more expectations than, realistically it could, or it was perceived? And do you think Ugandans did not stand up for what you told them to, like asking for their vote or protecting it? Do you feel like it's sort of betrayed?
It was an awakening message, and I would not call it any betrayal. Betraying who? I have the same right on Uganda as Kabaya and as you. All of us Ugandans have the same belonging and same ownership and same right on Uganda. So whatever we do for ourselves and for each other. And whatever we fail to do, we fail to do on our own peril. And of course each other's peril, not just me. So sometimes we've done things, sometimes we failed to achieve them. We've said it after 2021, that the struggle for freedom is not a sprint, it's a marathon. We are not where we are supposed to be. We are not where we aimed to be. But Mordecai, we are certainly not where we used to be. There could be baby steps, but we keep moving. Where we don't succeed, we learn, realign, replan, and engage again. Good enough. Time is on our side. So we keep putting one foot in front of the other. We are people that were only armed with the truth, facing an adversary that is armed with guns and bombs and tear gas and propaganda, taking on a dictatorship, especially in Uganda, taking on a Museveni dictatorship, is taking on UPDF, taking on Uganda Police, taking on Bank of Uganda, taking on all ministries and all institutions of state. But we are still moving. So let us not beat ourselves down because we have not achieved our freedom when we want it. I mean, we wanted it long time ago. But to see that at least we have a massively awakened population, to see that the regime is spending loads of taxpayers' money in Uganda and outside Uganda for its survival, shows you that it is weaker than those fighting to free themselves. Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the things that you've been doing here. Critics point out that despite of evidence of human rights abuses, abductions, torture, enforced disappearances, extrajudicial killings happening in Uganda, the Western government and organizations continue to deal with Museveni, continue to work with him.
Yes.
They say that the message you're trying to sell to them that, these things are happening in Uganda is a message they're not buying. What are we doing here?
It is not me selling the message, and I'm not selling that message. I'm telling the truth. Unfortunately, in the past, the truth was just being smuggled out of Uganda. But now, even the regime is showing the real truth out there. Yes, it is true that Western governments, in many ways, and very unfortunately, they tend to put diplomacy above democracy. They tend to put interests above values. That's why you see sometimes, for example, the United States government tends to put United States interests in the military and critical minerals other than the livelihood of the people of Africa. This is something we fight against. But we must not despair. Some of us that have looked back in history, we remind you that Nelson Mandela, who we all hail, was in 1987 branded a terrorist by the British government. In 1987, the British Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher, stood and branded the African National Congress, ANC, the party that Mandela belonged to, and even Nelson Mandela, a terrorist. I mean, that is meant to crush all the hope. Mandela was fighting not against fellow blacks, but against white people. However, only 3 years later, in 1990, Mandela was to be out of prison. And yes, after 4 years, Mandela became president of South Africa. The same person that was branded a terrorist by the British government was to later come in the Westminster Hall, the most coveted hall, and address
Exactly.
the British Parliament. Not everybody and not anybody steps there to address people.
Absolutely. The last three have been the Pope, Barack Obama, and Nelson Mandela.
Mandela was the first black man to address people there. You know, the next was Barack Obama. And on that day, Margaret Thatcher was in presence. So for as long as you have a just cause, you shouldn't despair. So we're keeping the hope alive. We're not giving up, well knowing that we are carrying a just cause. Well knowing that we're not breaking any law. I say it many times that history is on our side, God is on our side, and absolutely time is on our side. You know, the people of Libya were despairing because Gaddafi was in close contact with
Italy.
With Nicolas Sarkozy, the British, the French president then. But you see how tables turn. Tables keep turning. And tables will turn.
Tables will turn. That's the president. Now, some Ugandans argue that, and you've actually said that you don't believe in violence. You know, we have seen the strategies that NUP and other political parties and individuals have used, like court petitions, demonstrations, and name it. People are saying we have not used the strategy of boycott. And I've seen a few foot soldiers on social media saying, hey, we need to outline a few businesses of these people who are keeping us captive, who are violating our rights, and boycott them. But we need a voice of a leader, a strategy on how we can do this. Why don't you use that strategy of boycott?
I'm very glad you're bringing it up. I've said it many times that don't only depend on me in the struggle, and don't only depend on politicians. Each one of us, our duty, personally, my duty as an individual and as a leader, was to draw in everybody, to draw in all ideas. At the level of our struggle, we must put all options, all moral options on the table. And I absolutely agree with that. I mean, let's look back in history. Mandela is the most outstanding freedom fighter that we emulate. And all those strategies were used. As a matter of fact, Mandela also co-opted violence. That's why they established them Mkonto Wesizwe. I've said it many times that while we as the National Inter-Platform disagree with violence, we are slowly but steadily reaching a point where we do not have the moral authority or the nerve to stop the people of Uganda
Now people
from
say,
freeing themselves.
now people will say that's a tacit endorsement of violence. When you say we are reaching to that point, what's the foot soldier learning from that statement?
What point?
We are reaching a point where...
No, I'm making it clear, only you cut me short. We are reaching a point, or maybe we've even reached there, where we cannot stop people from freeing themselves by any means necessary.
Actually,
I did not, I'm not endorsing violence, but again, I'm not blocking any Ugandan from freeing themselves in whichever way.
Actually, that brings me to my next question.
Yeah.
If elections continue to be disputed, to be violent as we've seen, and institutions remain under the influence of the executive, under Museveni and his son and their minions and lackeys and stooges, what is the most realistic constitutional political change we can use in Uganda?
Mordecai, this is not my quote. It has been there long before I was born. That those who make peaceful change impossible, they make violent revolution inevitable. Yeah. That's not my quote.
That's not your quote?
Yeah.
Okay. Looking back in the last election,
yes,
what is the single biggest mistake you believe your campaign made and that you would do differently if another election were to be held under similar conditions?
I'm trying to look for a mistake. Maybe we should have relied more on the population to lead themselves than the politicians. And this is not to undermine our politicians or political leaders. But truth be said, some of the politicians are about the next general election, not the next generation. Some of them have limited interests.
Are these some of the ones in your camp, some of them?
Well, I'll say some politicians. I don't like to point fingers.
Okay.
But again, many of them are revolutionary. But even when they are firmly on the cause, relying only on politicians for leadership limits the cause, because even when they are for change, they are, the Baganda call it Nkokonjeru. They are the white bird that is seen by the ego so easily. The ego in this case is a dictatorship. They are targeted either violently or in terms of bribing. And yet, if we empower the population and stay as amorphous as possible, then the regime doesn't know where to touch. I wouldn't call it a mistake. I mean, I'm a leader of a political party, and we had and still have to have a political platform, because a revolution without political anchoring is but just a bunch of bandits. Even when the regime falls, there needs to be prepared leadership to take over. That's why we have a political party. But I must say, we are much more powerful and much more effective against the regime as a loose political movement. People power.
Our power.
Yeah.
Well, leadership is measured not only by inspiring hope, but also by sharing risk. some of your supporters were arrested, many injured, others maimed, many lost their jobs and careers, many remain in prison and torture dungeons. After answering your call to mobilize while you are now outside of the country, how do you respond to those who say that some of your supporters paid a heavier price than you did?
True. Many of our supporters paid and continue to pay a much heavier price than myself. While the lights are focused on me, many people pay a heavier price. Yasin Kawama died. I'm supposed to be the one who's dead. Frank Senteza died in this struggle. Rita Nabukenya died. Ziggy Wine died. Many others. I'm still alive. Some of them died trying to protect me or trying to protect those that we struggle with. So it's true. Many of them pay a heavier price. I mean, yeah, I was able to escape and leave the country. Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, up to now, we don't know where he is. The latest we hear, unconfirmed news, is that he's in a military hospital having been tortured so bad. You know, many of my comrades now don't have the privilege of having a visa to leave home. They're in hiding, their lives are completely shattered. So yes, while people sympathize with me, I sympathize with my colleagues who are little known. They don't even have the privilege of speaking to a journalist like you and express their pain. And that's one of the reasons why I don't give up, why I keep going. Because some people have paid a heavier price than me. Yeah.
So, well, if you had known before the election exactly how events would unfold, would you still have contested? Or would you have chosen a different strategy altogether?
It's not that I didn't know what would happen. Yes, I didn't know to what extent it would go. But we largely knew. We've had examples in the past. It didn't start with me. What they've done to me, they've done to Dr. Besigye before, only that to us, it got worse. We've been through an election, a terrible election, which is more or less a military operation in 2021. So we knew. But like I said, we used this election, first of all, to reach out to the people of Uganda. Our strategy was, number one, in 2021, was to awaken the population, because our population was largely disconnected from its politics, especially our young people. So my entry was to inspire a generation and to awaken them and to sensitize them, which we largely achieved in 2021. So for 2026, we wanted to unite the country. That explains why I told our supporters not to hold my picture, but to hold the national flag as a symbol that brings us all together as a nation. And we achieved that. We have a united nation. Which nation is being suppressed, but at least they are united in their pain. Now we just need to engage the next gear, which is organizing to make sure we remove this regime with different tactics, different strategies, and from different groupings, not just the political party that I lead. No. Our strategies will differ. Our tactics will differ. Our models will differ, but our agenda is and should continue to be the same. That is complete freedom, that is complete liberty, and that is absolute democracy. Yeah.
Looking back at 2021 and 2026, do you think the supporters who believed your campaign promised more than it could realistically deliver? And if so, do you owe them an apology, explanation, or neither?
Ask the question again.
Yeah, I'm saying if you look at 2021 and 2026, you're not president. That's where we're headed. It's changing things fundamentally. Do you think that some supporters within the National Unity Platform and those who actually who don't identify as NUP, who believe that your campaign promised more than it could realistically deliver? And if so, do you owe them an apology? Do you owe them an explanation, or?
I think whoever thinks our promise is more than we can deliver is wrong. What we promise, we can deliver. That is servant leadership. It is not rocket science. It's a question of handing power back to the people. That's not too much to achieve. You know, the services that we need, we have that money, only that money is being stolen. That's not too much to promise. You know, and whoever thinks that we should apologize for standing for what we believe in, then that person has a problem. We don't apologize for believing in what we believe in. We don't apologize for fighting for our freedom. These are our rights given by God and confirmed by the Constitution. We don't apologize to no one for that. No, we don't. Yeah.
At what point do you tell your supporters that participating in another election under the same conditions may not be the right strategy? Is there a point?
Participating in an election is not the only strategy. We have gone to elections like we went to an election in Kayunga when Nakwede was running for LC5, where we won on every polling station. But Byabakama declared the person that came third. Should we apologize?
No.
For that? No. Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro won on every polling station in Nakawa. But they announced some old man who came number 3. Should he apologize for that? No. We do what is right. We do what we believe in as a people. Is doing what is right enough? Maybe. No. Maybe we should do more. But somebody should not regret for doing what is right. Those that came before us did what they could. Dr. Paul Kawanga Semogerere did what he could. He shouldn't apologize for doing what he did. Sebana Chisto, Dr. Kizza Besigye did what they could. Should they apologize for doing what they could just because they did not accomplish the mission? No. We are where we are today because we are standing on the shoulder of those giants that came before us. And maybe our duty, even when we don't succeed yet, but our duty now is to keep that hope alive, is to keep that candle burning, so that the next generation that comes after us also gets inspired. For me, I'm not waiting to celebrate when we win. I celebrate the fact that we refuse to give up. We have not won yet, but at least we've refused to kneel down to our oppressor. That should be victory enough. The black people fought for 400 years.
In the USA?
In the USA, until they were free. Apartheid went on for numerous generations. Colonialism went on for numerous generations, more than 60 years in Uganda. But it was finally defeated. The Museveni dictatorship has been going for 40 years. Myself and the party that I lead is not even 10 years in the struggle. So we shouldn't beat ourselves down for doing the little that we've done and for contributing what we've contributed so far. We should just not give up. Keep the hope alive.
keeping hope alive. Many Ugandans still admire your courage, your commitment, but others, I've seen them on social media, I won't mention names here, they say they no longer want your promises. They want results. If 5 years from now, General Museveni and the political establishment is...
Why should I pay attention to those who don't like me when there are those who like me? Some women don't love me. Bobi loves me.
Yeah.
Why do I care about those who don't love me?
So you
I don't care about those who think I'm useless. Maybe I think they're useless too. Hello?
I don't know who you're talking to. Okay. All right. Let's talk about our meeting on the sideline of our All Africa Convention, is it?
Yes, please.
And tell us about this.
Well, I was invited, like other fellow Africans, to the All Africa Convention to forge a way forward. We know that this has not just started years ago in the 60s and the 50s. Younger Africans, much younger than myself, met to forge a way forward for an Africa of the future. The likes of Ben Bella, the likes of Mandela, Walter Sisulu, the likes of Nyerere, the likes of Obote, the likes of Lumumba, Nkrumah. They were young Africans. And they met to forge a way for an Africa that our parents and we, the grandchildren, would inherit. And yes, they achieved what they had to achieve. Now, the major question in that convention, which I will be addressing later on today, is an envisionment, is an imagination. The question is, imagine yourself looking back 20, 30, 40, or 50 years later, if God allows us to live that long. What will our generation have achieved for Africa, for the Africa that we live then? Earlier generations of our, ancestors fought against slavery and they defeated it. The next generation fought against colonialism and they defeated it. Now for us, we are faced with dictatorship. Are we going to defeat it? Thank you very much. I mean, one of a great African men called Frantz Fanon said every generation must, out of deep reflection, identify their call and either betray it or pursue it. Now that's a question of the day. It's a big question of our generation.
Talking about conventions, there's one that is upcoming, the National Unity Platform Convention that's going to be in California this year.
Yes.
First of all, tell us, you've been attending these conventions, I don't know how many times now. Do they produce anything? I mean, I've heard that the Museveni criminal regime has already invested its people in the diaspora to frustrate the efforts of people who are wanting to see change in Uganda. Have they achieved?
There's a popular saying that a problem shared is a problem half solved. Meeting to discuss a problem is progress itself. Realizing that there is a problem that should be solved. Coming together alone is progress. Now, you will agree with me that in all the struggles for freedom, the diaspora has always been extremely important. That fact has not changed. Now, we have many Ugandans in the diaspora in America, in Europe, in the Arab countries, and even on the African continent. And because it's becoming much, much harder for us to meet home, we meet in the safety of the diaspora to strategize, to plan ways. Your question of whether our engagements in the diaspora have bore fruit, they've definitely given results. the 2021 election and even the 2026 elections were almost entirely funded by communists in the diaspora. When the regime cut off the funding that our party was receiving, the political prisoners and their families have been sustained by the diaspora. And even those that have escaped danger have been welcomed here in the diaspora, including myself. I'm probably one of the most recent escapees from Uganda. I was received, housed, clothed, fed by comrades in the diaspora. We have had time to reflect and share ideas. And yes, on the 13th to the 17th of next month, August, we're meeting in Los Angeles to cut pendas. What do they say it in English? Okuteme penda.
To cut pendas? That's a new one.
To strategize on the next steps. And engage another year.
So he's going to be in California. Do we have some leaders coming from Uganda?
We are supposed to have leaders coming from Uganda, including the leader of our of our parliamentary front, the Right Honorable Yoweri Museveni. We had hopes of also being joined by our Secretary General, Deputy Presidents. But you are also aware of the recent travel advisory by the United States government. So we are not sure whether we're going to have those comrades from Uganda, but we are sure that I'm personally going to be there, and I'm going to share my thoughts. And I want to believe that you're going to be there too, and many others.
I'll be there. Talking about the leader of opposition as we come to the end of this interview, you have seen now the son of the president, Museveni, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, is targeting Joel Ssenyonyi, wanting to get rid of him from the parliament, from his position actually, leader of opposition. What does this actually mean to you?
First, I would like to say we are not defined by any position. I'm supposed to be in State House. I'm in exile. Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro is supposed to be in parliament. He's in prison. Mwanga Chivumbi is supposed to be in parliament. He had 10 people killed at his house. Now nobody knows where he is because he was abducted. And many others. So it's not about the position. Of course, Museveni's son, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, has gone ahead to expose himself and expose the lawlessness of the regime, which is sad but beneficial to our argument. I mean, we don't have to waste so much breath, making that point. He has helped us make it. Unlike dictators that we are told about, Idi Amin, killing people, Muhoozi takes pride in killing people. He self-confessed. He tortures people, takes their picture, and will put it on social media. So it makes our argument way easier. The Honorable Joel Ssenyonyi has and continues to play a very, very important role. No wonder he's targeted. I'm so proud of him. He's not shakeable. And if, again, they make that idiotic move in the Parliament of Uganda, so be it, because it would be further exposure. Ssenyonyi is not defined by a position. He's defined by what he believes in. That is why even when that indisciplined man tried to intimidate him, Ssenyonyi was not intimidatable. So it's not about any position. It's about what we stand for.
This is my last question. Talking about Muhoozi Kainerugaba, Museveni's son, do you think he's got a mental problem? I mean, you've talked about back in the past when we had the likes of Idi Amin, they would deny. But the gentleman gloats in the abduction, torturing, and then takes pictures and posts them. Isn't that a mental problem? Something is fundamentally evil, wrong, grotesque with this man. I'm sorry, I'm not a psychiatrist, a psychologist to diagnose him. What's your conclusion about this man?
Mordecai, do you believe in God?
Yep, I do.
Do you believe in prayer?
Yes.
God works in different ways. I've said it in the past that for all the pain that Museveni has caused to the people of Uganda, history has dealt him a blow through his son. Just imagine you were Museveni. You were smart enough to pretend and hide all your evil. And then, in your old days, when you think you're home and dry, that is what you have for a son. You have stolen everything. You've betrayed everybody in favor of your son. And that is the kind of son that you have. You think there's any worse punishment? You see, in Exodus, in the Bible, there's a story of a king of Egypt that had refused to let the children of God go. That king, the Pharaoh, we are told by the Bible that God put something in his mind and he did the wrong things. He pressed only the wrong buttons. Only the wrong buttons. Those are the buttons that I see Museveni's son pressing. And one day, inshallah, he's going to press the wrongest button that will have him and that criminal regime sent packing. So, whatever Muhoozi is doing, he thinks he's hurting us, but he's doing to his father and to his father's legacy and to himself, because make no mistake, at the right time, at the time of reckoning, he's going to answer for all these crimes against humanity.
Thank you so much for speaking to me.
Thank you very
I
much.
immensely appreciate it. I promise I'll be in California and we can have more conversations.
We'll be glad to have you in California, and if I'm to use this opportunity to send greetings to our people back in Uganda, we are not seated, we are fighting on. We are using every opportunity we have to dig as many holes in the criminal regime in Uganda, and sooner or later we'll be free. I know it takes painstaking efforts to persuade the international development partners that Uganda is being ruled by criminals, but it's becoming clear to all and sundry that Uganda is under a reign of terror. So hang in there, don't give up. Let each of us do whatever they have to do. And please deliver the message to all our comrades, Dr. Kizabesi J, Council Elias Lukwago, Alex Somofumbiro, Doreen Kaija, Bobby Young, Bobby Giant, Eddie Mutwe, all the political prisoners that we are fighting. And one day, they and the rest of Uganda are going to be free. Thank you very much for having me.
Pleasure is mine. Yep.
Cheers.
Did you enjoy what you just watched?
I'm sure they did.
I'm going to guess that you did. How about you consider subscribing to Mordecai Marissa Live YouTube channel? Thank you.